All right, Nick, let's talk about the Alabama Crimson Tide coming off of a dominating victory over LSU, 20-9. Defense played great, really, came out and showed their stuff. And because of that, we're now seeing a trend. Certain players in particular are leaning towards Alabama. And I think this player in particular, this could have big implications on the future for the Alabama Crimson Tide. I think everyone's going to love this one. So stay tuned to hear all of that. But first, I'm Andrew, that's Nick, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. And Nick, as I alluded to, some big news on the horizon after a big win for the Crimson Tide. Of course, they beat LSU, which is important in this story because this player in particular from the state of Louisiana. Let's get into the article and we can talk more about it on the other side. So first up, this is from Bama Hammer. Great name. Love that blog name from for Alabama. So it says Alabama already has a commitment for the 2027 class and 4-star QB Trent Seaborn, but Kalen DeBoer and the Crimson Tide are still aggressively pursuing 5-star QB Elijah Haven. Alabama sits in a good position with the nation's number 1 QB less than 2 months before his scheduled commitment date. Haven was in town for Alabama's win over Tennessee and the Crimson Tide's 20-9 win over LSU, so good that he was able to see that. Haven is a Baton Rouge native, but uncertainty surrounding the Tigers' coaching situation has left the door wide open for someone to steal him out of the state of Louisiana. Haven's father continues to say that Alabama is checking the most important boxes in his son's recruitment. He says, I said it 1,000 times, stability and development are the two most important things to me. Alabama checks both of those boxes, Haven's father said. And it's not just us, it's not just Haven's father, saying that Alabama are looking like heavy favorites to land him. We can look, and some of the best recruiting predicting experts on all the land are also saying this as well. We got a prediction from Sam Spiegelman and Steve Wiltfong saying that Elijah Haven, 60% confidence level that he's going to commit to the Alabama Crimson Tide, and this is just coming off this past weekend. So looking really good for the Tide. I think there's a lot of good trajectories for them to land this quarterback. I think it'll be good because his dad talks about stability and development. Alabama, they've had a constant pipeline of young quarterback talent coming into school, being able to develop it, having a lot of stability at the quarterback position. Most of their quarterbacks for the last, decade or so have been guys that they were able to bring in, recruit, get to the school, develop, and have them go on to great success. So they have a really strong record of doing that. In fact, if we look back over the last couple of years here for the Alabama Crimson Tide, you can see 2022, Ty Simpson, quarterback of this team right now. He's able to sit on the roster, develop, do a really good job there. 5-star recruit from them. 2023, they had Eli Holstein. He's 4-star. 2024, Julian Sayin, unfortunately, he did leave to go Ohio State, but we're seeing the talent they're able to, recruit and see. Julian Sayin doing a lot of great stuff over at Ohio State. Then we have this year's rookie or freshman quarterback coming in 2025, Keelan Russell, 5-star guy. We already talked about all this offseason about the great news, great things we've heard about a guy like Keelan Russell, what he can do for this program going forward. Then Jet Thamala, 4-star guy, and then of course Trent Seaborn, in-state guy, 4-star guy. So Alabama, they've got a long list of quarterbacks that are looking really good that they've recruited and developed in this program. A lot of stability at the quarterback position. And I think Haven could be the next guy to come into this and really get Alabama to the next level. A top-tier 5-star quarterback like him for the 2027 class will give Keelan Russell those 2 years to come in, play. Maybe he sits behind Russell for 1 year. Russell does his thing. We see if he is the real deal. Probably goes on to NFL after that. And then boom, the next level of the Alabama Crimson Tide quarterback system is in play in a guy like Haven. So things are really setting up nicely for the Tide. I'm glad they're starting to get favored on this player. And the fact they're aggressively recruiting him. When Alabama wants somebody and they're going after them and they're having the level of success they have been having lately, I think they're going to be able to go out and get them. So curious what your thoughts are on all of this, Nick. But before we get to you, Crimson Tide fans, in the comment section below, let us know. We're talking, the future of this program. We're talking about the quarterback position. I want to know though, what do you think about the future of the quarterback position at Alabama? Do you think Keelan Russell is the guy? Do you think that going forward, Simpson, if he is to go on to the NFL, do you think Keelan Russell is the guy you want them to continue to look for somebody else? Let us know your thoughts on the future of the quarterback position for the Tide in the comment section below. But nonetheless, Nick, what are your thoughts on everything here for Alabama?
So this is Kalen DeBoer's master plan, and it's more impactful than a lot of people are giving him credit for. Remember, Nick Saban, of course, for the second half of his tenure, got the biggest and best quarterback prospects, or certainly close to the topping the college football world, right? And we kind of got used to seeing it. You know, the Bryce Youngs, the Tuas of the world go down to Tuscaloosa, right? It became an every month occurrence that a top flight quarterback, a number one overall quarterback, was considering the Alabama Crimson Tide, and the reason was because obviously the Alabama Crimson Tide were winning championships. It seemed every single season and churning out a bunch of NFL talent every single season. But if you backtrack to the beginning of Nick Saban's tenure with the Crimson Tide, it was a different story, right? A lot of their quarterbacks, even their better ones, were top flight recruits, undeniably so. But they weren't the number one, number two quarterback in the country like we're seeing Kalen DeBoer already draw attention to and potentially pulling off. For example, I had to pull it up, just a little research here just to confirm this. So Blake Sims, 18th best quarterback in the country in his class. How about Greg McElroy, also 18th best quarterback in the country in his class? AJ McCarron was the sixth best quarterback in his class coming out of high school. So these are all, of course, or were all, of course, top flight quarterback recruits in their own classes. But it's a different world that Alabama has lived in so far under Caleb DeBoer. And DeBoer, of course, has no championships to his name. In fact, right now, if you look at Caleb DeBoer's legacy for Alabama, it's a disappointing first season, and we'll see what happens with the finish of 2025. And despite that, he's recruiting the quarterback position at an incredibly high level. And to me, that was the goal. That was the entire point, in my opinion, of bringing in Caleb DeBoer, to recruit and develop the quarterback position, create a quarterback factory. Because like it or not, the college football landscape and what it takes to win a championship is much different than what it was a few years ago when there was just the BCS game, and even when there was still a playoff and there were four teams. Completely different mindset, because right now, we talk about it all the time on this channel, college football has become like the NFL with their playoff system. NFL is all about quarterback play. It's all about managing the game, big time throws, big third downs, big situations like that. It's different in the college game in terms of the old college game, where if with these one game, right, you have a one championship, BCS national championship, where you prepare for a month, you can find a way with scheme and just an overall wave of talent to win, right? If you have the 2 game playoff, right, you would have one game and then 2 weeks off, right? And again, you can find a way where an overall array of talent in terms of winning the line of scrimmage, you can win. In today's college football landscape, where it's a gauntlet, right? You got to win game after game, week after week after week, different venues, different opponents, completely different strategies. We're talking 3, 4 wins to win the whole darn thing in a lot of cases. It's a different mindset. It's like the NFL. You need good quarterback play. You need elite quarterback play. What we've seen in terms of the yesteryear of college football, where, listen, if you've got a good offensive line, a good defensive line, and just talent on a lot of key positions and depth, you can win if your quarterback is good, not great. That's what Nick Saban under Alabama was, their first batch of national titles, of course. That has changed completely. You have to be great at quarterback, otherwise you don't stand a chance. That's just a fact, right? It's one of the many reasons why, if you look at the top programs in college football, they're okay if they have good quarterbacks and they leave. You ask the Georgia Bulldogs, Carson Beck transferring, they're okay with that because he's good, not great. They want great, right? The Texas Longhorns, they have Arch Manning. They're already a little nervous there, right? Because Arch Manning, he's playing good ball, right? Obviously, the expectations are through the roof. He's playing good football, but he isn't playing great football, and that makes him nervous. Makes them very, very nervous, right? The Oregon Ducks, they still feel like national championship contenders because Dante Moore is great, their quarterback, right? The list goes on and on and on. There's a lot of concern in Michigan that Bryce Underwood, even though he's a freshman, is he good enough, right? This is just the world we live in. You have to be elite at quarterback to win a national championship, and Kalen DeBoer is proving his worth in terms of recruiting and developing and managing the quarterback position. And it's not just what we've seen in terms of recruiting this year. In fact, if you want to throw up the screenshot I sent you, Miles, before we started filming, it's the fact that the quarterback he developed, and listen, Ty Simpson deserves a lot of credit, but as you can see that graphic on the screen right now, courtesy of Pro Football Talk, Ty Simpson's the betting favorite to be the first overall pick in the next NFL draft, the 2026 NFL draft. right? That's how much Ty Simpson has really outperformed expectations, and that's how good Kalen DeBoer has set him up for success. Remember, the star wide receiver Ryan Williams, disappointing season. Listen, Jeremy Bernard's been great, and we understand all of that. But the reality is, Ty Simpson has been just phenomenal for the Alabama Crimson Tide, not just on how he's been playing on Saturdays, but what he looks like at the NFL level. That's Kalen DeBoer. That's his offense, a quarterback-friendly, quarterback developmental offense. The recruits see it, the NFL scouts see it, and I think this is the way Alabama will compete for and win national titles going forward. And it's the way you got to do it. It's like the NFL. You need great quarterback play. You look at the best coaches in football, right? The old adage in terms of the NFL, Bill Parcells, defense, right? Bill Belichick, defense, right? That mindset, that doesn't work anymore. You need to have an offensive mindset. Andy Reid with the Chiefs, offensive mindset. Mike Tomlin with the Steelers, defensive mindset. Haven't won a playoff game in a decade, right? The vibes are changing. Sean McVay with the Los Angeles Rams, Kyle Shanahan with the 49ers. Offensive mindsets. That's what you need in the NFL. That's exactly what you need in college football as college football becomes more like the National Football League. This is a great job by Kalen DeBoer and all part of his strategy. Crimson Tide fans, this news is obviously good news, but it's even more important than you think. This is a sign that DeBoer's strategy and the Tide's overall strategy, both in the short, medium, and long term, is 100% heading in the right direction.
Yeah, Nick, and I think, that is all 100%, correct, that this is, they're doing great. They're developing quarterbacks. They're showing DeBoer is showing, hey, I can develop Ty Simpson, make him, number one overall draft pick in this 2026 draft. And, young quarterbacks are going to see that and want to go to Alabama and say, hey, this is a guy. But there's an overall, more overarching point to all of this. We look at, where this guy's from, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, is showing DeBoer is learning more and more how to recruit the SEC. And we've talked about that a bunch of different times, probably like 50 different times in the last 2 months, that you got to know how to recruit the SEC if you're going to play in the SEC. We've seen a lot of guys that he's brought in through all different parts of the country. But we look at this 2027 class right now, and the 4 commits they do have: Alabama, 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 Georgia, and another guy that's thinking about coming there, Louisiana. So really doing a great job coming in, recruiting the SEC very hard. If they're able to land a guy like Haven, I think that would be absolutely massive win. Number 1 overall 5-star quarterback from this SEC region. I think that would put the cherry on top, showing, hey, DeBoer's going to be just fine. He knows exactly what to do to recruit the SEC. Now he can put his game plan in place, really put the screws to anybody, to flip or take any recruit. Doesn't matter what state they are from or what area they're from. He can go, he can get you and land you to play for the Alabama Crimson Tide. So I'm feeling good about what's going on. I'd like to see this commitment be nailed down the next 2 months or so. We're going to see it happen. I'll be excited when we see it. Probably talk about it again. But I really like what's going on here. Alabama's got a good game plan going on. I think we're seeing more and more growth. This program's getting stronger and stronger, and it's look out. They were gone for a second, but Alabama is 100% back, and now they're looking to be the top dog once again.